Hi guys, so today we're gonna deep dive to our ShadCN UI. So first I thought this was just colors, but then I realized ShadCN is not just Tailwind itself, but ShadCN is color design system UI component atop of Radix UI. Actually, this root meaning all of our HTML will gonna be use this global design tokens like this primary, background, and foreground. As you can see, this uses HSL colors. This background is our background itself, meaning this 160 25 98. That's why when you look into the board itself, this corresponds to this. But if you're gonna go to the dark mode, the background becomes this 3610, which corresponds to this. When go to the dark mode, this color, which is shown here in dark mode, 3610. So basically each of this global design CSS, we don't assign it as variable that we can call it, for example, green, because when the time comes when you change this, our design may not be forever become green. The designer or the team might want to change it to another color, for example purple. So this green doesn't make sense if it's what's inside is another color, right? Design system, background, foreground, card, and foreground, and etc etc, because this is a convention for design. So this primary foreground 169 82 34. I'm gonna go check 169 82 34. Yeah, this corresponds to the color buttons, which is this in light mode, the color, while this secondary foreground and secondary 163 31 93 uses this type of color, meaning in our UI. So you can check for other, but basically when you try to use the background or the color of the background itself, this is the color default. When you're trying to use a primary, meaning for the main buttons, we're using this, and for our accent, this is standout, and you can check others. So why are we using HSL? So actually HSL uses the letter H, the U itself, the color, S for saturation, how colorful it is, and the L for the lightness, meaning the reason why Tailwind uses this kind of approach as HSL, because it's much easier to adjust the gradient. You will just need to adjust the lightness and the saturation, so you have more control on how our color palettes work. You can make it darker. It won't be the case if you are using it by RGB or hex, but still we are using hex on some of our projects here. So what is the use case when it is best to use a hex? So it's much better to use hex when this is a constant color or a fixed color across our project. If you can see here, this color is using the game board itself. If you will look in our game board, this color will forever be like this, even in dark mode or light mode. As you can see, when the color palette is said to be fixed or constant across all the theme in the project. In ending, I used to think that this global CSS was just a list of colors, but now I realized that it's the blueprint of the application's visual language. And I understood more ShadCN is not more of just a flashy way of making new components. It utilizes design system that is accepted by a wide range of designers, with a top of Radix UI for behavior and the abilities of UI to interact. Meaning ShadCN is the entire design system itself, not just a normal CSS enhancer. One quick note to know if your system uses ShadCN UI, is when you look into your client components UI, you are seeing this TSX files like accordion, but since this is installable by npx. Second, you will know also when you are using this dev dependency of Radix UI, most likely you are using ShadCN. Another thing, third, is when you are using this dev dependency of class variance authority, most likely you are using ShadCN. And lastly, when you are using ShadCN, you are following this design system of background, foreground across all of your project, using also HSL for easy gradient manipulation rather than the hex or RGB colors.